it was laughed out of the room. Military procurement officers picked it up, turned it over in their hands, and frowned. It was too light, too plain, too cheap. No polished wood, no intricate machining, no sense of prestige. One evaluator reportedly dismissed it with a wave of his hand. This feels like something made in a garage. He wasn't wrong, and that was exactly the problem. Because while the brass rejected it on paper, the soldiers who actually fired it in the dirt, heat, rain, and chaos of combat reached a very different conclusion. They didn't care that it looked simple. They didn't care that it cost about $25 to make. They cared about one thing only. It worked every single time. This is a story of how a rifle born from frustration, simplicity, and a garage workbench became one of the most reliable and beloved weapons American servicemen ever carried into battle. A weapon born from disillusionment. The rifle's origin story does not begin in a massive defense corporation or a government research lab. It begins with a man who is deeply dissatisfied with the weapons soldiers were being asked to rely on. In the early Cold War era, military doctrine was obsessed with sophistication. New rifles were expected to be lighter, faster, and more technologically advanced than anything that came before. Select fire mechanisms, exotic materials, and tight tolerances were all the rage. On paper, these weapons were impressive. In real-world conditions, they were often temperamental. Mud jammed them, sand choked them, poor maintenance turned them into liabilities. One engineer working largely alone believed the military was solving the wrong problem. Soldiers, he argued, didn't need elegance. They needed rugged reliability, ease of use, and a weapon that could survive abuse without constant attention. So he went back to basics. Instead of adding features, he stripped them away. Instead of chasing precision machining, he focused on loose tolerances that allowed parts to keep moving even when filthy. Instead of expensive alloys, he used simple steel and stamped components that could be produced cheaply and replaced easily. What emerged from that garage wasn't pretty, but it was brutally practical. The $25 rifle. When the prototype was finished, its cost shocked everyone who learned about it. At a time when military rifles cost many times more, this one could be produced for roughly $25 per unit. That low cost wasn't an accident, it was a philosophy. The rifle was designed to be easy to manufacture, easy to maintain, easy to train on, easy to repair or replace. It didn't require delicate care. It didn't demand constant cleaning. It didn't punish soldiers for mistakes. If it got dropped in the mud, it could be rinsed and fired. If sand got into the action, it kept cycling. If a part wore out, it could be swapped in minutes. To procurement officers, this simplicity was suspicious. They equated low cost with low quality. They worried that a rifle so cheap would reflect poorly on the military's image or fail under sustained use. So they rejected it. Soldiers put it to the test, despite official skepticism. A limited number of these rifles found their way into the hands of soldiers for testing. That's when the story took a dramatic turn. Unlike controlled trials on clean ranges, soldiers tested the rifle in realistic conditions. They fired it dirty, they neglected it, they subjected it to rain, dust, and hard use, and it refused to quit. Soldiers reported that it fired when other rifles jammed. It cycled reliably even when poorly lubricated. It didn't require constant adjustment or babying. In the stress of combat training, when hands shook and mistakes happened, the rifle simply worked. Word spread fast. Troops began requesting it by name. Units that had access to it didn't want to give it back. Compared to more complex rifles, this one inspired confidence, and confidence is everything when lives are on the line. One tester famously described it as the most reliable weapon I've ever fired. That endorsement mattered more than any procurement report. Why the brass didn't get it? The resistance from military leadership wasn't just about cost or appearance. It was about mindset. For decades, weapons development had followed a top-down model. Engineers designed rifles to meet theoretical specifications. Committees evaluated performance metrics. Procurement focused on long-term programs, not immediate soldier feedback. This rifle flipped that model on its head. It wasn't designed to win charts or impress generals. It was designed to survive real combat. Its loose tolerances, which horrified engineers used to precision, were exactly what made it reliable. Its plain design, which offended traditional aesthetics, made it durable and cheap. Too many officers. It felt unsophisticated, almost crude. But soldiers understood something that paperwork missed. Complexity is fragile. Simplicity endures. A quiet revolution. Even without full official backing, the rifle's reputation continued to grow. In training environments and limited deployments, it earned a loyal following. Soldiers trusted it with their lives, and that trust spread through word of mouth. Over time, the military began to take notice, not because of lobbying or flashy presentations, but because demand from the field wouldn't go away. When a weapon consistently performs under neglect, abuse, and stress, it becomes impossible to ignore. The rifle didn't just challenge procurement assumptions, it exposed a deeper truth about warfare. Combat is chaotic. Conditions are unpredictable. Weapons that look perfect in laboratories often fail in trenches, jungles, and deserts. This garage-built rifle thrived precisely where others struggled. Lessons the rifle taught the military. The story of this $25 rifle left lasting lessons, even beyond the weapon itself. First, it proved that cost and quality are not the same thing. Expensive weapons can fail, and cheap ones can excel if designed intelligently. Second, it highlighted the importance of soldier feedback. Those who carry weapons into danger understand their needs better than any committee ever could. Third, it reinforced a timeless engineering principle. The fewer things that can go wrong, the fewer things will go wrong. Modern militaries still wrestle with these lessons today. Advanced optics, electronics, and systems offer incredible advantages, but they also introduce new points of failure. The balance between innovation and reliability remains a constant struggle, and every time a weapon jams in the field, someone remembers that simple rifle from a garage that never did. From rejection to reverence. What makes this story remarkable isn't just the rifle itself, it's the contrast between how it was perceived and how it performed. Rejected as too simple, dismissed as too cheap, mocked for its humble origins. Yet in the hands of soldiers, it earned something far more valuable than a contract: trust. That trust turned it into the weapon many American servicemen wanted beside them in combat, not because it was fancy, but because it was dependable. In war, reliability isn't a luxury, it's survival. And sometimes, the best solutions don't come from billion-dollar programs or polished boardrooms. Sometimes, they come from a frustrated designer, a garage workbench, and the courage to ignore convention.